Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Lewis Herms and we're going to be talking about the two shootings, Tina Peters in hostage, Rob Reiner, Trump, and also what's going on with Erica Kirk and Candice Owens, which is very interesting. Lewis, thank you so much for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Well, I happen to be running for governor of California. That takes a lot of time. We're getting some great results. We were told about a month ago we're probably ranked like 14th or 15th, and now we're somewhere between number 3 and number 5. So that's a huge trajectory in a short amount of time. We're in a debate January 10th with 4 other candidates. So those are probably the top 5, what they're considering the top 5 candidates there. So things are great, and I'm working on a film. You probably didn't get it. I sent you an image of it, but it's going to blow people away, I think. It's called The Psyop of Silence.
Okay, yes, I just opened it now, actually, just before we started recording when we were talking. Okay.
Yep, Psyop of Silence, exposing the fake news conservatives, conservative fake news, because I think there's a major diversion that's been going on for years where we attach ourselves. Now, I'm not just talking about the mainstream. I'm talking about major podcasters and huge influencers and Rumble channels and YouTube channels.
Of course, no, that of course. First of all, I have to apologize. I've got a bit of a stuffed nose. Um, yeah, interesting. Where should we begin today for our conversation?
Let's go with the shootings. How's that?
Yeah, let's do that. So we were just saying that false flags doesn't mean nobody got killed. You're saying,
Exactly. So it's interesting when I say something like false flag, people go, well, people got killed. I go, no, hold on a second. 9/11 was a false flag operation. Let's just be very clear. I'm going to repeat that, everybody. 9/11 was a false flag operation and thousands got killed. So they're not mutually exclusive from each other. A false flag is something that is purported to be one thing to drive a narrative in a certain direction so the evildoers can create some type of control mechanism after that, i.e., 9/11 happened. What followed that was the Patriot Act, right?
Right.
Immediately when these shootings happen, immediately people are on all over the networks. We need gun control, gun control, gun control, right? How's that work out for people? It never does.
It's true. That's exactly what it is. It's a false flag operation. And from a spiritual perspective, the reason why they do this is because they want to lower they want to lower soul's frequencies. So people who embody a soul who are very still and present, because that being present really it really cuts or collapses the matrix or the control system, energetically speaking. And the Pentagon know this, and the Pentagon have frequency technology that can detect clusters of souls in geographic locations where they can see how many awakened souls there are and how present they are. The opposite of presence is thinking outside, which is thinking of the past, thinking of the future, and having a lot of mental chatter, which means you're not present and you're living in fear, guilt, shame, anxiety, depression. And when you operate on that level, you're feeding the Draco system. Okay. When you're present, you are here, you are now, and this is peace and silence. If we all operated like this, there would be no emotional leakage to the Draco system, which will then collapse the matrix because the atoms, and this has been proven scientifically, the atoms around us would start behaving differently, which means that the hologram will start re-rendering around you, around your presence. And this is what Jesus Christ taught. But anyway, back to the false flags. This is what they do.
It's hard to go back to that after that. Let me touch on that a little bit. So the frequencies, I completely agree with the fact that we have an aura around that. I understand that, and the fact that our frequencies really are what matters the most And that is what I didn't know, which I just learned here, is that I didn't know that there's technologies to detect clusters of frequencies. So I find that to be fascinating in itself.
Yeah, there's a lot of technologies that is only accessible to the government, to the Pentagon. They actually have special glasses. When I say glasses, it's like a proper helmet or something, where it opens the light spectrum beyond the human eye, and you can see things in another dimension. You can see through other dimensions because it allows the human eyes to bypass the limited human spectrum, the light spectrum, that is. So there's a lot of stuff that I've researched that is not public information, that's not accessible to the public. You wouldn't even be able to buy something like this online. You'd have to be a government official to authorize something like this.
That's fascinating. Didn't know that.
So this is why they do false flags. It's to create a narrative. It's because it's a spiritual war. They want to keep you away from presence. They want you to live in fear so that they can control timelines, to control the narrative, so they can enslave us even more, to feed the control system or to feed the Draco system. Emotional loosh. Who generates it? Souls. Why do we generate it and they can't? Because we're connected to source and they chose to be disconnected thousands of years ago, and they're cut off from the loosh supply and they're using us for their food. And this is what's going on.
Well, fear is definitely their fuel. I've talked about this for several years, and this is definitely what they feed off of. That's why I say it's so important for us to keep up at the highest possible frequency we can. That's through authenticity, that's through love, that's through giving. That's how you keep your frequency extraordinarily high. It's very, very, very important because I liken it to this. I say, let's assume we're in a war, and we're definitely in a war, and we're in a spiritual war. So you have your enemy on the battlefield across you. You're on this side. Your enemy's tanks run out of fuel. They run out of gas. Are you going to put up the flag and say, hold on a second, run over and give them fuel so they can keep firing at you? Of course not. But that's what we do when we live in fear. So it's very, very important that we recognize that and don't give our fear, don't give our luge, our fear, don't give that frequency away to them.
Absolutely. And every time we have a thought of, a thought of you judging or possibly spiraling into fear, you look back and you say, right, I am aware of this thought that's arising. Watch it, observe it, witness it, but I am not the thought. I am the witness of the thought. I am not the mind or the body or the story. I am just the witness. And when you're able to reflect, then you ask, well, who is the witness? Who is aware of these thoughts? But yeah, it's just mind blowing, amazing, because you really become more centered and ask questions. Who am I really? But is this too deep, Lewis?
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So
Yeah.
now fast forward to the shootings.
Yeah.
it's and I'm not laughing at the shootings. I'm laughing at the dynamic here. So it's what I've noticed, and this is why I say there's a false flag element. So even if the shootings, okay, let's take the smaller shooting at Brown University, where a couple died. So even if the shooting is absolutely real, which we know that it is because of deaths, right? But even if there was not a false flag inherent to that, the opportunists immediately jump on that. And I'm going to give you an example. So there was a lady that claims that she was part of the Parkland shooting, and then which is a school shooting, and then she happens to be involved in this Brown shooting, Brown University shooting several years later. Within an hour, it seems like she was making the rounds. She was on X, then she's on CNN, and then she's on other networks proclaiming that she was at both of these. Well, okay, let's get to the truth. Well, the truth is if that happened, that's like 1.2 billion to 1 chances that would happen. Okay. So there's a mathematical fact for you. And then in regards to that, she when the story broke down, she wasn't really at the Parkland shooting because she was too young for that. She was in middle school or elementary school that was nearby that shooting. Okay. She wasn't directly involved in the Brown University, right? So these people, to me, clear more like crisis actors. So let's go over to the Australian shooting where a lot of people died. There's a lot of weirdness there in the Australian shooting. One is this is not conjecture, it's proven. There was two female cops that did nothing when they were watching it. They were hands up. They were freaking out. They didn't quite know what to do. Well, that's a concern. And then there was a guy that supposedly wrestled the gun out of one of the terrorists' hands. Well, that's on tape. But then it shows him right after that he would just set the gun nicely against a tree. That doesn't even add up to me in a situation like that. You would lean it against a tree. Let's say he didn't want it. He would drop it, number one. He wouldn't lean it against a tree when there's active shooting going on. So that was just odd, right? But then, of course, and here's where we have to look at, and this is what looks like the Mossad element to me. Then, of course, there's a guy that's been he's embedded in Australia to teach everybody about the anti-Semitism all throughout Australia. He looks like an Israeli operative. And sure enough, he has, by the way, over 1 billion views on teaching people about anti-Semitism. And he just happens to get injured in the shooting. Oh, and then he just happens to lean forward and take a selfie of himself with blood all over his face. Assuming this is all true, this is where I want people to start thinking with everything. What are the mathematical odds of this type of stuff happening? That's when it really starts to add up, and people should say, maybe there's a lot of fakery going on here, because mathematically, for that one lady to be there, 1 billion to 1 odds, who knows what the odds of one of the premier speakers of anti-Semitism that got shot happened to be on picture, right? All bloody. What are the odds of that? Come on, guys. This is where we really have to think. And this will roll right into the other conversations that we're going to have, because they're all connected like that.
Yeah, they are. And which one was the next conversation you wanted to go to?
Well, we can go anywhere, but let's go to the Candace Owens and Erica Kirk conversation, because this is a tough one for people.
So, I love Candace Owens. I mean, I think I do like Candace Owens personally. She annoys me a little bit, only because she comes across quite, a little bit arrogant. But if we just put that to one side, I really like what she says. A lot of people say, "Oh, she's gone crazy." No, she hasn't. She is digging deep. She's a truther. And listen, Erica Kirk is not a truther. Erica Kirk is pushing a religious framework that is still within the control system. She's not teaching sovereignty and freedom and transcending the matrix and teaching you about the Draco system. She's operating within the religious framework dogma of the Draco system, okay? But that's okay. That doesn't mean it's bad. She's on her path. We don't know yet what she is, if she's an Israeli asset or if she's grieving, On the other hand, Candace Owens, she loves her friend Charlie, and she's probably grieving in her way. And I think that although I'm all in with Candace Owens in respect to that, it was Israel. Yes, it definitely was Israel. Charlie himself was saying it. What I don't get is, why is Erica refusing or denying the text messages that Candace Owens saw regarding Charlie's saying that they're going to come after me? Is it because Erica Kirk wants to believe the narrative that it was a genuine assassination attempt and not Israel, because it this it she feels that it's safe to. Why does she feel that it's safe? Because she doesn't want to collapse her identity. She wants to believe it. She feels that it's safe for her to believe the narrative. What do you think about that?
Well, we can go in several directions with this. First, I'm going to tell everybody, instead of getting triggered by this conversation, let's have open conversations about this. Because what people tend to do is they take an immediate side, and they get triggered if you have an opposite opinion or if you're questioning the narrative. Guys, that's where the baddies want you to be. The baddies want us divided, because when they divide, they conquer. They don't want you asking questions. I can tell you, shortly after Charlie's assassination, I was at a house with some very well-known people that people will know here. And, they're all talking about Charlie Kirk, and somebody, I'll just say pretty famous, asked me about Charlie Kirk. And I said, well, you know what? There's some questions I have that are up in the air. And she immediately goes, no, 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 we can't. No, 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 no. We cannot go there. And I respect this person. And I'm like, wow, that shows you how strong it is, or how much pressure people have in order to prop up the fake narrative. So this is what for decades, I've tried to just break this stuff down. And let's just look at this from an outsider. Okay, so what do I see from an outsider? I see that Charlie Kirk, for the first time, started to question the Israel influence into his network. I see, based on a video that I saw, his last speech before he was killed. By the way, I think maybe 100, 200 people have seen that in the world, and I've seen it. And he was questioning the conservative matrix of media, something I'm doing a story on right now, right? How you may be being led in certain directions. And he was concerned, clearly, if you look at the Candace Owens things, that they're going to be after him, right? And he already knew that they're going to defund him. So let's say Israeli connected people. Those should be questions that are right there. So immediately, I'm not even putting my tinfoil hat on. When I saw the shooting, my wife she just reminded me this immediately. When I saw that puff of the shirt, I said, something's wrong. Something doesn't make sense. And I don't see that a bullet would take that trajectory, right? I mean, literally the day I was telling my wife this. I never came out publicly because I just didn't even think about it. So those are concerns. It doesn't make sense that the guy on the roof that has no training, right, with that type of rifle, shot him. It doesn't make sense that a projectile from a 30-06 would bounce off of a bone. There's real legitimate question. It doesn't make sense that they would clean up so fast. It doesn't make sense how fast he was buried. It doesn't make sense that they would re-pour concrete. It doesn't make sense that somebody took down the cameras. It doesn't make sense that somebody's on their phone immediately after that. There's so many open questions that, whether we agree with Candace Owens or not, I have to honor her doing the work and putting herself out there to dig. And this is where we should start looking at things from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. You know, with Erica, she easily forgives the assassinator, which is really gracious of her. But she's very upset with Candace Owens investigating her best friend. If I'm honest with you, if my partner, God forbid, died and anything happened, and her best friend was investigating everything, I'll be very grateful. Very grateful.
You'd actually probably would hand out information to them.
Yes. But
Yep.
I actually think that Erica Kirk is, I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. And I don't know. Is he dead? Is he not dead? Some people say he was not dead. Some people say, is it so he could receive martyrdom, status? Is it her eyes seem demonic sometimes, and fake? And like she's performing. Why is she wearing so many rings on her finger? And she's very dressed up like she's a rock star. It doesn't make sense to me. It just if she's not she's somebody who is preaching the word of God, the Bible.
Hmm.
Why is she full of jewelry and makeup? I'm not saying I'm against jewelry and makeup, but she's overdoing it like she's a rock star and she's grieving. It just everything just doesn't make sense.
Well, and here's where I am. By the way, this is not an attack on Erica Kirk. It's not an attack on Turning Point. It's not an attack on Candace. But you just said it. And this is where people need to take a deep breath and stop making a conclusion. You just said it doesn't make sense. And it doesn't. This narrative, something is jacked up in this narrative. It doesn't make now. Let's look at it from Erica's point of view. She could be extraordinarily grieving, right? Not quite sure how to handle herself. Therefore, she puts a lot of makeup and jewelry on and goes out and gets dolled up and does what she thinks because she's like, okay, I need to put on a good face, a good front. Maybe that's it. Maybe there's something sinister going on. We don't know, but what we do know, and this is what I would caution people with taking a stand so quickly. We know there's a lot more questions than there are answers in regards to this. And questions are good, and we need to keep asking questions and get down to the bottom of it. I'm very, very concerned that what's his name? Ben, the Jewish
Shapiro.
guy. Yeah, Ben Shapiro
Ben
is so
Shapiro.
highly involved in this. I don't trust Ben Shapiro in the least bit, and that's a big,
Yeah.
huge concern for me.
I think Turning Point USA has been hijacked, and I know that some of the donors who've donated hundreds of thousands to Turning Point USA, that I know them specifically, and you know them, one of them as well, and we both know them, and they emailed them saying we are no longer donating anymore to Turning Point USA, and do you know this person used to be, she married into a Jewish family, and she's waking up about what's going on with the
Mhm.
Zionist agenda, and she's pulled back and she said, "No, I am not donating any more money to Turning Point USA. I don't like with what's going on." And I think Turning Points USA has been hijacked by Zionists,
It
and
certainly feels like that to me. And I know, and if you see, look, I'm not playing the political game. I can get a lot of votes from people that follow Turning Point USA, a lot of them if I just played the game. I'm not going to play the game because the game's not true. Something is wrong there. Something is not right there currently. And they need to get it right. When you have a pastor that goes on stage and does the vitriol that he did towards Candace Owens, right? And then they follow this up with a whole pro-Israel, pro-Jewish message. That's a concern, right? So it feels like it's hijacked to me also. So we're watching it closely here, right? But if people want authenticity from somebody that's running, I'm your guy. If you want me to stick my head up someone's arse, as you would say it over there in
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 the
London,
UK.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. We just have to be honest and figure this stuff out.
It's true. Let's move on to Tina Peters and Hostage and Rob Reiner.
Yeah, so I love Tina. I think Tina did a heroic move. There's a lot of, I think, conservative fake news saying exactly the opposite, right? Which is really, really sad. Um, she was tasked with securing the elections and the data. That's what she was tasked with, and she gets a call from the higher up saying, "Don't do that." So she decided to do it because she smelled something was rotten here, and then she gave that data to somebody else. I think that somebody else let her down by making that public, right? But she was trying to secure that. So if you don't think that that's crazy that she would get 9 years in jail for doing that, I think you should check yourself, because the reality is, and I'm literally having a film releasing, and part of it's going to be on this. There are criminals in Colorado that have spent less time in jail than she's already spent and get more privileges. This is a political attack at the highest matter, and she's the keystone to election fraud. Here's why I want to talk about this. And with my film coming out, Psyop of Silence, the major news medias, the Foxes, the OANs, the Newsmax, the Gateway Pundits, the Epoch Times, the Blazes, so on and so forth. The huge accounts on X, the huge accounts on Rumble and YouTube. Do you know they've virtually ghosted and avoided the Tina Peters story? How's that possible? Doesn't make any sense unless they are controlled by another entity. And in my film, I disclose who I think that entity is.
Israel.
Bigger than that, brother.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Well, I can't wait to see it. And when is it going to come out?
Well, it's supposed to come out Wednesday, the 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Next Wednesday.
Actually, it's this Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
I'm tearing my hair out to make sure I get it finished.
Good,
so we'll
good.
see. We'll see. Regardless, it's going to be out very, very soon.
And where can they find it?
Well, hopefully they can find it on your channel. So they should go right back to your channel to find it. You restream it or play it if you download it, whatever you want to do. It's going to be free all over the place. So they can go to screwbiggov.com. They can go to my social medias. I already have commitments from over 50 podcasters that they're going to be either directing people to it or playing it themselves. So I think it's going to get a lot of attention. And it's a story that needs to be told. There's several conservative media that people say all the time that are out there, and personalities that they follow on X and Facebook and all this. They're lying to you, or they're avoiding the truth. They're controlled opposition. And it's keeping people, they get so excited about their posts. Well, okay, where's Tina Peters? Where's child trafficking? Where's the COVID deaths? Come on, guys. If they're not talking about that stuff, they're controlling you.
Absolutely, of course. Well, we look forward to seeing that, and I look forward to uploading that. Thank you, Lewis. Gladly help. And a lot of people thought that obviously Rob Reiner was killed by his son, and also his wife was killed by his son. And then Trump made some remarks that he was not a great person. And a lot of people, they thought that was very insensitive of Trump to speak about that. Now, is it a cover story? Was it execution? What do you think is going on here?
So I was just on, I get interviewed often. I was just on a show with people I actually really like, and they were prodding me in a direction to be very sensitive about Rob Reiner and this. And I said, no, not going to happen. I'm not going to. I'm in Trump's court on this. The guy was actually protecting pedophiles, known pedophiles. He would hire and protect with inside of Hollywood. It's known. This is not, and I actually believe he was an asset of a 3-letter agency, and that's why he was constantly coming after Trump. He was shown meeting. Think about this, with Brennan and others in regards to the Russian collusion hoax. This is not a good guy. And when people say, I don't wish death on anybody. Oh, okay, let's get out of our safe space for a second. This is evil. This is evil, right?
Yeah.
I could care less that he's gone. And I don't give a damn what people think about me. I'm not going to change my opinion because the whole zeitgeist is like, you need to be very nice when people die. No, he was evil. I don't give a damn.
When I heard the story, there was a few things that poked that came to my attention, because I'll be honest with you, and I'm sorry to say this, but I don't know who Rob Reiner was until he died. So I saw Hollywood director. I thought pedophile straight away, because I've done a lot of
There you go.
And listen, this is not. I just thought I didn't in my mind. I didn't accuse him of being a pedophile because I didn't know who he was. But I've done a lot of research on Hollywood, movie directors, and a lot of them have been accused of pedophilia. So I thought, okay, cool. So that's what I thought. And then I thought, Trump's message, well, that's a confirmation, that's a sign that he doesn't like him.
Hmm.
So Rob Reiner's deep state and is a Hollywood movie director. Right. Okay. And then I thought, was he executed and the son killing them was a cover-up story? Or did the son find out that he is, been protecting pedophiles and he's been working with them, or possibly he's guilty of pedophilia and maybe his son went rogue, got angry. I don't know. Why
Yeah.
his mother? Was she in on it as well? Was she protecting him? Who knows? What do you think?
Well, and sometimes, and the son was a known drug addict, right? And
Okay.
um, in and off the streets. Sometimes there are bad parents there, and kids go a little bit crazy, right? And who knows what happened to him in the past? And I'm not saying Rob Reiner or his wife did anything to the son particularly, right? Although the background of what I know Rob was doing with inside of Hollywood and confirmations at certain parties that he was at where bad things were happening, that is a major concern, right? And who knows what, but the son, I would say at minimum, knew who his father was. Does that condone the assassination? I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying, for you want me to spill tears over somebody that protects pedophiles? Screw that. It's not
Yeah.
going to happen. I'm not going to be politically correct just because I'm running for governor.
No, you're doing. I think I agree with you absolutely, and you speak the truth, and you speak the uncomfortable truth, and that's the kind of truth we need today. You know. Okay. Cool. So before we go, I just want to talk about also a glutathione solution that you and I have both been using, which is very good for the mitochondria and the immune system. And it's something that I've shared with a friend of mine accidentally, who I have completely removed their eczema skin condition after years and years and years, after trying everything on the market and prescription drugs, creams from their doctor. They called me back up and they said, Nick, where did you get this from? I need some more. It got rid of my eczema. And I want to share it with the viewers. It's a glutathione that I want to put in the link below in the description. It's called Sirona Glutathione. This is what this platform's about, helping people find permanent solutions to get rid of whatever it is, whether it's, we do other videos to do with cancer, other videos to do with skin. And Lewis, you're the one that introduced me to this glutathione, which I shared with my friend accidentally and have helped her, made a very big impact in her life. Do you want to say anything about this?
Well, I think it's interesting that we've been locked into this prescription medicine solution for a long, long time. And in general, what prescription meds do is they treat the symptom. They don't try to get to the root cause. Why glutathione is so important is because it is an actual master antioxidant that our body already produces. So if we can get glutathione into our body properly, it helps work with the mitochondria, the pituitary system, and it sends signals to the body. So the body reaches out and fixes an issue that we may not even know. Great example. When I started taking glutathione, my hair on my head up here was this color right here, right? Which is fascinating. So it got darker. I didn't know that was an issue. I didn't know that just meant I had a deficiency of, and so forth. So it works. So glutathione is the most powerful antioxidant on Earth. It's been studied more than any other molecule in a planet by the medical industry. Why? Because they're trying to figure out how to synthetically reproduce, which they have not been able to do yet. But they do have clinics that you can, for $1,200, you can go in there and get an IV, and it does maybe a quarter of what this does, or somewhere around $60 a month. So it's absolutely incredible. the way they've nano-sized this, and it's phenomenal. So I'd recommend it for anybody.
Yeah. And I'm going to leave the link below in the description. And also, if you would like to support Lewis Herms for governor for California, I'm going to leave the link below in the description for that. Every donation really helps Lewis. Is there anything that you'd like to add to that, Lewis?
No, just that, hey, we're working really hard. We're going to be going on tour next month, and we're pretty much touring until June, the primary. We have an upward trajectory right now. We're very excited about. Just brought on new team members that are fantastic. And guys, if you just want the truth and authenticity, you can support our campaign from anywhere in the world. You can volunteer or donate. Yes, there's ways you can volunteer from Spain. I will show you how to do that, and you can donate from anywhere on the planet. So help our campaign out. We're doing phenomenal things because where California goes, I'm telling y'all, the world's going to follow.
Absolutely. Lewis, thank you very much. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care and God bless. Bye bye.